Welcome everybody back to the Naughty Corner Gaming. It is Oz and I'm here to talk to you about bad decisions, bad choices, and hopefully make you make some as well. Now, if you're anything like me, you consume a lot of YouTube content and potentially from some bigger names like Ninja and Miniac, Eons of Battle, those sort of places, Sarastro's Painting, or you look at other channels and you're looking there for painting tips, tricks, and all those cool things that should make your hobby better. And by that I mean make your painting better, make you happier with it. But sometimes it's an unrealistic standard and it fucks me off. Let's not be clear, let's not be unthing. Like, everyone works hard, but I have like an hour or two a week to paint. But what that's meant has, over the last God knows how many months and years, I've tried out lots of different paint ranges, and I made a video on it back at the start of the channel. You don't need to watch it, shit. But what I want to just highlight is that, most people learn from their mistakes when it comes to like investing in different paints. And like when they're happy with a paint system, good for them. I constantly like to try out new things and evolve, and this is why it's a Naughty Corner, because in actual fact, if my wife knew what I was doing, she probably wouldn't accept that I was using this for content, and yeah, sure. We'll move past that. So I think it's relevant to go like, what space am I talking about here, and what experience have I got from painting? Well, like, I've used loads of GW paints, but it's just out of shot, so I'm just going to grab it a second for you. So I have, in this beautiful tub, literally every Pro Acrylic pen ever released. Really enjoy them, really like the matte look, really like the bottles. The tops are a bit shit, but we can look past that because they do a nice range of colours. Now, for me, Pro Acrylic is a really nice range. I go to it pretty much for everything painted now. My Votan are getting painted up in it, my Shatterpoint's getting painted up in it, and it is now my core paint range. But to get to here, wow, I used to be a real big fan of Squidbar, don't get me wrong, still am. Brilliant guy. He said Vallejo was all the rage, so guess what? Here is, in this tub here, the entire range of scale model colour. Was organised on shelves, but because it doesn't see the light of day anymore, because it lives under my desk in my office, sad times. It just comes out for painting Bayou, because that's what I painted my Bayou in when I was trying to do this, and the Bayou are like 2-3 years old, so like there's that. So there's that one. Let's just put that to the side here. Yeah, and then there was lots of talks about AK Interactive and stuff like that, but like I didn't get any of the third gen really, outside of a couple of colours which are hidden in there. And then there was, well, I really wanted to learn to blend better, and after watching a few videos, someone told me scale 75. So guess what? Yeah, that's the entire range of scale 75. Their big box set that I got from a supplier, and all their metal and alchemy sets. Now, the metal alchemy sets are a game changer. I really like them. Being able to tint different basing metals gives you a much wider palette for things. But this is all things that we probably already know, we're already probably happy with, and it's not really like a strenuous thing. So this leads us to my next worst decision. I'm a sucker, and I am trying out Army Painter's new paint range. I'm like a year late to the party, and I don't care. I was really happy with Pro Acrylic, still am, but with the John Blanch sets coming out, I thought it was an ideal time to try it out, because I think there's lots of hobbyists, lots of painters doing it, and I didn't want to spend like 250 quid on the complete mega whatever set. So I went for a nice core idea. So I went for Most Wanted, which is obviously 16 acrylics, 2 metals, 2 effects, 1 wash, 1 primer. I'm not going to use the primer, let's be clear. And then the 2 John Blanch paint sets. So I think it's a point to note at this point that I am not a great painter. I am looking at this as a, does it give me something different? Does it give me something better? Does it, I like mixing colours, and the idea of the triad system is really cool. But what we're going to do today is, I'm just going to grab it, I've been talking about Cipher on the last few episodes. In actual fact, today is Cipher's day to glow up, and I think using the Blanchitsu set with some of the normal colours is going to be a really easy starting point for this model, and I probably can't fuck it up. So without further ado, I think it's probably time to get building, and then we'll open up the paint sets properly in a minute. And with that, just to be clear, I can't be asked to move this box. It has my tools and stuff in, so you're going to see that in the corner. Just suck it up. So we've built Cipher. It's now time, I guess, to like prime it and then start cracking out these paints and seeing what they do. But obviously, if you despise what we do here and trying to help and make your life worse, then it might be worth a follow. And just, you know, if you're watching on your phone, like I have shit on here, then maybe just hit that button. I know you won't, but allegedly it's worth asking. Again, worth noting, whilst I have all this crap out in front of me, that between the Fanatic Most Wanted and the two John Blanche paint sets, which, don't get me wrong, isn't a lot. There's a brush on primer and the speed paints on the side, which may or may not get used. You get 4 shades, 3 effect paints, 4 metals covering copper, a couple of silvers and a gold. You get some 4 unique not in the triad systems, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 5 sets of getting used of the triad. So we've got the cool reds covered, we have olive greens, black and greys, deep greens, the yellows, and then everything else is one of. So my eternal optimism is changing into dread and fear that none of this is going to fucking work. But we'll see. We do have, like, we've got a couple of skin tones, as much as they're different skin tones. We've got a deep and a warm skin tone. We've also got like a skeleton bone that we can use. Obviously, we've got the ivory white, so it gives us a nice base. We've got a warm grey and white, which again will probably be our lightening up colour. Like, there's a nice range of colours here. I think it's a fair set of colours that will do us well, but obviously, like, I don't think I'm going to get to show you the full spectrum of it, and I'm not trying to. All I'm trying to do is find an excuse to paint Cipher and buy new paints. Just to be clear, in case you are unsure of how to use your Mantic paints, you do get a little helpful hint on the back here where it says, like, shake lightly. Shake well. Shake well. Just in case you're a complete and utter moron and you weren't sure what the hell you were going to do next. So I'm going to start out using the ironclad grey into the uniform grey for the armour. So I've given them a bit of a shake, give them another shake, and then it's just, I do like these dropper bottles. They are a bit nicer than the Procreal ones. And the paint looks nice and thick. So obviously we're going to add some water. I'm just going to do is just mix up, get the bits I need on the palette first, and then get some dashes of water just so I can mix in. Now I've got different brushes. I'm going to just start with a giant one, size 2. And what I'm going to do is just mix it in and just do sort of a 50-50 mix, I think, to get me my starting colour for my armour. So I don't want it to be pure black. So hopefully this ironclad grey is going to do it. So I'm just going to go through and hit all the parts of the armour nice and carefully. Again, the aim here is to be fairly neat and tidy. And you know what? I'm actually, like, as a one coat, this is actually going on really, really nicely, even at a 50-50 mix. So let's try and keep going. So what I'm doing is just looking for anything that would be considered as power armor. Just going through and taking that nice and carefully. Because I'm lazy, I don't want to paint multiple times. Let's go to the speed up. So having let that dry, I'm now going to go to the next step, which is I've done roughly a 50-50 mix of the ironclad grey and the uniform grey, and they are next to each other on the Fanatics Triad. So I'm hoping that this will be an easy transition again. So what I've done is I've done probably 2 parts ironclad, 2 parts uniform, added a little bit of water just to make it stick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint everything that isn't the recesses. So I'm not going to use a wash on this bit just yet, see how it goes afterwards. So what we're going to do is just be super, super careful. Again, we're just going to paint over all the areas that are not in the recesses. Now there's an issue with rivets and we'll deal with those later, but all we're going to do for now is just slowly work up that colour. I could probably have just gone straight to the next one, but I'm a sucker for slow shading and going through and just building up those layers of colour. And I've changed down to a tighter brush because I want to be a bit more precise. What I'm doing is loading it with a little bit of paint each time and just then going around the bits of the model. It might be hard to see on camera. 1, because I've got a shit camera. 2, I'm awful at camera work. And 3, if you've got this far, you're better than most. So again, all I'm doing is just going around these edges, just trying to get everything but the recesses currently. And I've gone a bit OTT on the backpack here, so what I'm going to do is just tie this up by just hitting the bits that I need to now, which in all fairness isn't a lot. Just trying to tidy it up a bit. And do this other foot that's hidden. No idea here, just trying to give myself some saturation. I'm going to do 2 coats just to make it really easy. So at this point, the armor's looking really grey. I've just done the 2 tones. I think realistically, we're going to throw a wash over it and give it some time to dry. But what I'm going to do first, before I do all that, is actually I'm just going to play around with some of the other colours. So I think potentially if I look at the washes, I've got Voodoo Shade, I've got Grim Dark Shadow, Dark Skin Shade, and Warm Skin Shade. I think realistically the Grim Dark Shadow is going to go over a lot of things. So it's probably going to go over the armor, then I'll retouch up the armor into a lighter color before I edge highlight it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around and play around with the rest of the model. So to get me started on the inside of the cloak, I'm going to use the new Firium Vermilion from the John Blanch range, and I'm going to mix it with potentially a bit of burning, or just to sort of give it a bit of a colour hue. I might change that, but I'm going to start with that and see what happens. Right, whilst I'm waiting for Cipher to dry, I'm going to do this little shameless plug, in so much that if you don't know, you've been living under a proverbial thing where you don't know what this channel is or what we do or who I am, it's fine. I'm a nobody. We also make laser cut tokens and prize support for lots of different events. We support Bolt Action, Hobbit, 40k, like we support a lot. And whilst I'm waiting for this beautiful red to stop being fucked up, I'm going to start working on my other job for the evening, which is painstakingly colouring in using coal black acrylic, because I cannot be bothered to set up my airbrush, because by the time I've set it up and cleaned it, to actually colour in some text on some tokens, some little measuring widgets that I've made for the Great British Hobbit League for their Masters 2025. And because of screw up, I'm delivering them tomorrow. By the time this video comes out, probably in a week or two. Meh, but you get the idea. Multitasking. So coming back to the Cipher model just very briefly, I've just gone back over it. I watered it down a little bit too much, I think is the key thing here. So like, it is lots of, it's going to be a few thin layers just to get this up to the right hue that I'm after. And obviously here where it's a little bit speckling, we have to do a couple of layers just to sort that out. Or I throw it in the solid cleaner and just go again. I think it's early days, so I'm being optimistic. Now here's the challenge, like I've got a limited palette, so I think I need to probably get up to like the skeleton bone kind of colour, but I think if I put skeleton bone straight on, it's going to go a bit skewy. So I'm going to try and mix with a bit of sunburst ochre, just to give it the deepest shades. They are completely two different things. This is the yellow, so should go with moonburst yellow. But you know what? Let's live dangerously. Oh, actually, fact, it's got that. Got olive drab. That's probably a little bit easier. Let's try that. Right, you get to see the light. So I've done effectively the red, the cloak, and the armor, and it's now it's just tidying up time. So what we're gonna do is just gonna like whiz through the rest of this. I will try and give ideas of colours and stuff. I'm just gonna like bash through it now because I think it's just gonna take too long otherwise. So things we've got left to do are like skin, weapons, armor, and the sword on the back. So we're going to be using a few of the coppers, particularly on the like the pipe work. So I think all the pipe work's going to go coppers. I'm going to use the heavy metal and the gunmetal to do like the weapon stuff, and then we're just going to see where we end up after that bit of time. So apologies for the light, not really. Get over it. I need to see. It's dark. What else? Yeah. So let's get back to it. Right, with that mess that I have now created, finished model. Is it in the Blanchitsu style? No, it's not. I got all these paints and used like half of them. So I think single model, possibly not the right model to choose, realistically. But it gave me an excuse to buy some paints. If you got this far, well done. Hopefully you're not completely appalled by my paint job. I don't think it's much higher than tabletop standard, but I think for less than 3 hours work, as well as like painting loads of these things, which I now need to go away and peel before I go to bed. Yeah. Good luck, stay naughty, make poor decisions.